Yeah, so let's talk those teams. Otaku has one of my favorite West players, Mark. I love Mark. And you know what? He loves everyone too. Mark XO stands for lots of love. Alpha Kibi, Best Jelly on that Otaku hideout team. I already forgot who they were playing. My short-term memory has degraded this much, but it is actually ASOP's Little Pog Champs now that I'm looking. And this is going to be a pretty, honestly, what I think, honestly, maybe a close match. Definitely a lot of good players in the West scene here. You have LOL JSS, Geek, Gunner. I really honestly don't know what type of comps are going to be pulled out here. I haven't seen too much, but I'm excited nonetheless. Definitely could be more of something that might be map dependent.
Yeah, I definitely expect it to be map dependent. I mean, if I'm looking over at ASOP, what they've mostly been bringing to the table, it's been a lot of Juliet and Rasmus for JSS. Geek playing a lot of that Drakkar and a lot of Kai, but the Drakkar goalie seems to be what they lean to in most situations. And Gunner has brought out all sorts of stuff. A lot of Rune play, but some Era, even a little Zentaro in there as well. So going to be a lot of different options for ASOP, and I'm also super curious to see what they're going to bring in here today. Geek in particular, it's like a mad scientist out there. This guy plays everything in the goal.
Everything in the goal, but does he play the Zentaro, the fabled Zentaro goalie?
In solo queue, at least he does. I have I have it in my notes here as one that he's played a fair bit of.
Really?
Yeah,
That's in the notes?
that is in the notes. That is according to old Core Strike GG. These are some. They're a little bit out of date, but there's no way the number of games has gone down.
Mm-mm. Hey, you know what? I think Zentaro goalie
I see
is
32 Zentaro goalie games with a 59% win rate in Geeks match history here.
I respect it. I think the Zentaro goalie with the eject, and if you roll something like Super Surge, I think it's funny. Is it very good? That might be another debate. But is it funny? The answer is yes.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, if nothing else, you got to at least be able to give it that. Meanwhile, let's move over to the other side of the map. It is going to be Otaku Hideout coming out here. They have been running quite a bit of Zentaro themselves, not in the goal, mind you, but that's been a big pick from Mart so far. Alpha Kibi been playing a lot of that Aimi as well as a bit of Estelle, and then it's been mostly Kai's across the board for Best Jelly. So maybe a little bit more consistency in their team comps that they've shown.
Yeah, consistency is especially good when you really have like kind of solid team comps that you feel very comfortable on. And if something gets banned, you can go, hey, Juliet got banned, but we feel comfortable on the Zentaro, so we'll play the Zentaro instead and we'll be fine. I think a lot of teams kind of honestly really just kind of go with the flow on some of their picks in some of these matches, which is good, but it's also nice to have something you feel comfortable with in really any situation.
Certainly here. So going to be what they've defaulted to most of the time. I mean, they've all shown a little bit of different stuff here and there. We even saw a Luna goalie game out of Best Jelly. I assume maybe a namesake there. That's a little presumptive of me, but could be something that we end up coming out with. It was their loss. That is one of the losses they've sustained was with the Luna goalie. So I don't know that it'll come through quite a bit, but could be a fun one to check out if it does end up showing up. I think Luna's the only character I haven't been able to see in NASL so far.
Goalie diff, they picked the Luna.
It's what you gotta hope for. It's what you gotta hope for. If there's any chance at seeing Luna, it's definitely gonna be his goalie, right? Like nobody plays forward Luna.
Well, man, I would.
Oh,
You know what? I would actually kind of disagree. I think there is a non-negative chance you could see Luna with a twin drive start as forward on Atlas Labs.
okay. All
There
right.
is.
Zero is non-negative, but
I would say off the top of my head, I know like okay, well I actually know two people who would play it. One of them is myself included.
okay.
But I'm sure Puffy could bring out a Luna forward
All right. Well,
on the Atlas Labs.
I believe it. That's something to keep note of. So we are searching for our match here, by the way. We don't have to wait 25 minutes. We're gonna run a little ahead of schedule here, so we will be getting it a game between Otaku Hideout and ASOP's Little Pog Champs. Both of these teams sitting at 2-1-1, both tied for second place. This is going to be what kind of breaks that tie for second and what gets you that better seeding coming into the playoffs, assuming that the standings continue to look similar to how they've looked today. So definitely going to be a high-stakes match, and if the standings are anything to go by, definitely going to be a close one, like you said there, Deathgrass.
Yeah, this is really kind of, where we kind of see these standings start to filter out and really slot into place, because you have 3 teams who are tied for second. You had 3 teams who were tied for 5th. Goody Sports actually would be tied for second, actually, if their points were inputted. So technically, by technicality, we have 4 teams tied for second right now. But obviously that's not reflected, and that'll change because people haven't played their matches yet. But this is really kind of where you start to decide, all right, who's going to land second, who's going to land third, who's going to land fourth. This is the moment. This is now.
Yeah, feels weird since it's only week 3, but it is like 75% of the way through the regular season. And everybody hasn't played all of their games today so far, so we're not quite at that 75%, but once this is all said and done with, we're going to be the majority of the way through the split. We already are the majority of the way through the split, and going to be getting into those playoffs before too long. So these are the matches that really make a difference for that seeding and can really secure you an easier path towards being able to make a deep run, because we do appear to be getting into game here, and we're knocked back out. Baited.
We got a little baited there, but you know what's crazy? It's crazy to think about. After today, there's a singular match left for every team, which is it's a little in the regular season.
True.
It's a little crazy to think about. We're already on the 3rd streamed week of games and whatnot, so there's no off stream match next week, so
yeah.
we're like really close to being done with the regular season and pushing into obviously relegations, playoffs, etc., whatever is to come next.
Yeah, we are. Once Omega Strikers blows up and we're streaming to like 100,000 people, Daftgrass, then we'll probably stop having off-stream matches, and these seasons will get a lot longer. But until then, yeah, I mean, we rush through these pretty fast.
Yeah, Omega Strikers bigger than League. That's the goal. That's the goal.
Speaking of League here, I mean, I don't, and JSS, if you hate me saying this on stream, please DM me and tell me to stop if I'm mixing up your worlds here. But JSS also involved in the League scene. I know he just had his team that he coaches for was playing in the NASL qualifiers today. So a big day for JSS. I mean, his team making their run to try to qualify for the semi-pro league today, and then he himself playing in the NASL today. Got to be a huge Saturday for him. I mean, that's got to take a lot out of you.
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know. I could be completely just off the mark. I thought he was sitting somewhere in Masters. I don't know
League?
if he's...
I have no idea.
I thought he was Masters in League.
He's a coach for that team. He doesn't play on that team, so I have no idea what his rank is.
I remember watching a stream once. I could have sworn he was Master. He might have gone up. I don't quote me on that. I have no idea. I thought he was Masters though. So, to be able to play at the top of, at the top of the West League and being able to play at some of the higher end of league gameplay is pretty impressive. Let's be real. It is impressive. I mean, you think about the players that we have in here who are also very good at other games. I mean, the first one who comes to mind, who obviously I don't know if people know, Ginger Pop, used to be big Overwatch guy. He was very good at the game, much better than I'm sure almost everyone watching the stream is. Which also I could be completely wrong. You could not quote me on that. But
actually, we just have the entire upper half of the Overwatch echelon just watching this stream right now. That's the entire viewership base, is people who are really good at Overwatch. But yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of the nature of young games, really. I find that, for the first, call it a season, call it a split, whatever you want to say, but for the first couple of iterations of the game's life cycle, oftentimes the best players are going to be these really high tier, just all around game players who are often very good at other games as well. Maybe as the lifespan extends on a little bit, you'll find some of those prodigies who are maybe exceptionally good at Omega Strikers and not quite as good at other games, but we're way too early for that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and I mean you've seen it a little bit, right? You see people who have come to Omega Strikers and they've played it more for fun, and they've realized, hey, I'm actually kind of good at this game. The more they've played, and you see people grow.
Oh, yeah.
In terms of players, in terms of skill. I remember way back in beta, which I say way back when it's been not even a full year. So, but it feels like a long time. It
Yeah.
feels like a long time. I remember climbing the ladder with Double, and we kept running into this Bells guy, who I'm gonna out a bunch here. Double did not like playing with Bells, but you know, as we climbed, Bells also climbed, and now obviously you think about what he's done in the game, and it's a little funny to think about seeing him in Diamond compared to him now. Definitely a way lot better of a player now.
Definitely. Always cool to see people climbing up, building on themselves as players. So we are still looking to get into this one. We've gotten baited with a couple of false game starts so far, but we'll be getting into there before too long. I know Otaku Hideout and ASOP's little Pog Champs are doing everything they can to get ready for this next matchup. And I'm really curious to see what the map is going to be, if that's going to affect some of the picks that we end up seeing here.
Yeah, map is definitely, honestly, one of the more important kind of dictators towards what your comp is really going to want to be. As I do believe we have swapped to a nice Discord stream for us, so we will be able to get into the game here. No more loading bugs. We're in. We got missile propulsion, big fish on Atlas Labs. So incredibly game changing. Outside of maybe the big fish, kind of being a little scary on something like a Juliet.
Yeah, Atlas Lab, an interesting one here, specifically because ASOP's little Pog Champs, they played a couple of games on Atlas Lab already, but they've taken wildly different comps each time. So, curious to see what they end up going for here. This might be the third different comp that we've seen. I haven't seen them play Rasmus on this map. I have not seen them play Juliet, or I did see them play Juliet on this map once, but it's been eras and runes and X's. They've shown all sorts of different stuff here, and usually a Drakkar goalie, but hovering a Kai this time around.
Yeah, so Kai with missile propulsion on here is able to really keep the core forward as much as, you know, as far as possible as he can, as obviously his base barrage range did get nerfed down to 650, so the missile propulsion is going to help him a lot there. I think Rasmus is honestly pretty standard on this map from what I understand, and the fact that you get big fish off the start, which really is beneficial for him considering half of his abilities are based off of based off of your size. So hey, you know what? I think it'll be a big pick here, and whichever one of these Rasmuses can really kind of fight for this midfield will be the one to help win their team the game.
Oh, real early KO there, picked up for the side of ASOP's little Pog Champs. I mean, they just knock one of Otaku right off the map. Now Best Jelly gonna have their work cut out for them here on this defense. JSS trying to smack it in with the Phoenix Fire. Doesn't quite find it. Alpha Kiwi now going to, ooh, not even find it. JSS just smacks it in on the bottom side.
Yeah, a bit of an unfortunate situation there. Off the gravity well, popping, sending it up to the top of the map, and then right into the hands of JSS. And when you're Best Jelly, you don't really have any abilities in that situation. It's a 50-50. Do I walk up? Do I walk down? And JSS just won the mind game there.
Oh, and another double goal barrier opened up by JSS. Playing really well here, and now ready to try to knock it in. Goes for the core flip, doesn't snag the core, though. And Mark now moving up, going to be trying to play a little aggressively on his own Rasmus here. Best Jelly doesn't quite land a Giga Blast. Nice knock aside from the pendulum swing from Gunner. It's passed back up to him. That's going to be JSS looking for the KO onto Alpha. Couldn't quite find it, though. Now going to beat Geek. who's responsible for clearing this back up. JSS wants to find a Gunner ready to pick it up. Going to be into the core flip, into the ultimate from JSS. They can't quite knock it in, but JSS keeping him on the back foot, keeping the abuse going, and Gunner going to get himself a KO. Can they smack it in off of this? Geek is coming out of the woodwork to try to make a play happen. Core flip from Mark is going to get knocked back aside, and Geek looking to get ready for it, but opened up goal. Core flip knocked away by Best Jelly. JSS 1 versus 2 trying to knock it in. Gunner going to be ready as well, but it's cleared away once again by Mark before he gets knocked out. Passed back up to JSS, and again with the numbers advantage, they want to get this one closed out, but it's just been such good defense from Alpha and Best Jelly the whole way through.
Yeah, and important thing to note, JSS, another MOBA player, not able to get as much precision as he did have a chance to score a goal, but because of the MOBA moment, wasn't able to hit it in that top corner compared to something like playing on the WASD.
Yeah, no, I find it way more difficult to play on the MOBA controls, even coming from a MOBA myself. So, super impressive to see people playing at a high level with that control scheme. I cannot wrap my head around it. I keep constantly accidentally knocking stuff into the wrong direction. The JSS now going to take control once again, this time going to be at a numbers disadvantage though, so OTKU finds their KO, but it does not matter. JSS closes it out.
Yeah, and a great job from JSS to core flip that and hit it instantly, so Best Jelly has very little time there to react with that barrage. He wasn't able to get it out in time, could have maybe stood in his net and just tried to 90 it downwards or upwards, depending on where he thought the core was going. But overall, great job to get the second point for his team.
For sure here. Now 2-0 lead to ASOP's little Pog Champs. A nice Giga Blast from Geek, going to open up one of those goal barricades. Geek knocks it back up, utilizing the gravity well in the center, and doing a very good job at that too to get some clever angles, trying to open things up. And that's going to be a KO onto JSS, earned there. Alpha Kiwi finds their angle, and now ready to step up alongside Mark, who wants to knock this one deeper in, going to be able to open up one of those barriers. There's the second one, just in time for JSS to respawn, and if he can clear this back out, KOs for both sides, 2-on-2 on the map. Gunner carrying it forward, going to death touch it back into himself, and looks for the pendulum swing, but can't quite find it. It's Rasmus v. Rasmus here at midfield. Mark steps up maybe a little too far into the gravity well, takes a fair bit of damage for his troubles, but the knock-in from the barrage. Best Jelly gets a goal.
Yeah, and really funny situation there with JSS punching Alpha Kiwi off the edge, but at the same time getting hit by that Giga Blast from Best Jelly with that missile propulsion, and just able to send both of them off at the same time.
Definitely here, and that's another quick opened up goal here for ASOP's little Pog Champs, and JSS just gets the perfect angle, the flurry to knock things in, and a little BM emote while they're at it.
Yeah, I gotta hit him with a little bit of BM there. A little more than hey, you know what? It's first round. It's okay. You take a deep breath. But what's interesting here is Stagger Swagger. If I'm the Kai, honestly, I really don't care. I just kind of want to take like Orb Dancer or something. But he's gonna take extra special, I guess, with the missile propulsion. That's fine. But we grabbed the Stagger Swagger there. Best Jelly really needed to grab the Stagger Swagger away from the Juliet, because now Julie can just run into the center and get infinite speed whenever he wants. He doesn't have to worry about dying because he's just going to run to the center over and over. And I'm hoping to see it here, because that's really the strat with Stagger Swagger. You just walk into the center, you clear it, you take the damage. You don't care. You're going to get the speed for it.
Yeah, no, that's the tech for sure, and JSS taking advantage of it, looking for the flurry, nearly takes him out off the top side, doesn't end up getting anything in, and Geek has actually defended both goal barricades the whole way, just snuck it around the back there, and manages to keep both standing. Good clears so far, but now Mark going to get one on the bottom side, and Best Jelly ready to receive. Alpha Kiwi going to get staggered, but still ready to defend, and Gunner going to be in that same boat, gets whiplashed back up to the side. JSS wants a KO. Geek going to be the one who actually finds it off a nice Giga Blast there, and now JSS going to be the one trying to push in for the goal. That's going to be a core flip. That's going to be one more ultimate, and that's going to be one more goal for JSS.
Yeah, and good job from JSS there, popping the core flip, holding it, waiting for it to come down, then striking into the Flame Flurry to really kind of guarantee that against Best Jelly. Best Jelly didn't have any abilities to defend that, as he did use the barrage to cover that bottom part of the net on that initial part of the core flip.
For sure. Did so much as well with the Flame Flurry, has utilized that to get a couple of goals already this game, and don't expect to see that stopping, although it'll stop for now as he's taken off the map. Nice little play there from Mark to be able to get the KO, and now Geek has his work cut out for him in the outnumbered situation, does clear it back over. Best Jelly fires out the barrage to make sure that it's not going to end up being a cross-map score. Now JSS back on the map here with the Stagger Swagger. Going to have his goal opened up, wants to find an angle in here. Geek just barely saves it at the last second, and that's elusive, forced out of Alpha to stay alive. Mark going for the goal, gets it in with the Whiplash, and ties up this set at 1-1.
Yeah, and a great job from Mark there to confirm that kill on JSS using the Death Touch, walking up to position himself as to where he's closer to the blast zone than JSS is, and so he's able to drag him when he's staggered into the blast zone.
Super early KO there onto Gunner. Going to give OTKU Hideout the opportunity they were waiting for. They do manage to open up one of those barriers. JSS, though, clearing it back out on the other side with a nicely placed Fiery Fist. Going to tie it up at 1-1 as Gunner has respawned here off the back of the goal. Now going to be opened up here. JSS, Phoenix Fire forward, looking to open things up. Best Jelly knocks it off their own barricade. Maybe not what they were looking for, but JSS now ready to try to slam it in for a goal. Couldn't quite find it. Goes down to Gunner off of the center. Geek ready to defend off the back of the pendulum swing. Gunner getting pushed back. Whiplash nearly scores. Geek saves it. Playing so far back here to make sure he's going to have every opportunity to save. Saves it off the back of a pendulum swing once again. JSS now trying to take control of the core. Brawling with Alpha Kibi. Flips it back up, but it gets defended by Best Jelly. Mark now looking to smack it in. Pendulum swing again deflected by Geek. Playing at just the right distance to save these from the Rasmus. Mark stepping up again now, will not give up, but at a numbers disadvantage. Gunner is going to successfully clear it back over, and now it's up to JSS and Gunner to try to get this goal smacked in. Mark goes for the core flip, gets deflected, core flip back by Gunner. Geek gets another KO off the Giga Blast, off the center. Gunner gets it again, but it is going to get knocked in by Alpha Kibi. Nice use of the range.
Yeah, and that was a crazy sequence of events, but it ended in the culmination of Estelle throwing out a piercing shot into the Crystal Knives. And I mean, when you're playing the Kai and you have used your barrage, it's so incredibly difficult, especially against an Estelle who does have the missile propulsion. It's so hard to stop those knives. If you clear across your net, or if you try and clear anywhere that isn't directly in front of you or tanking the knives, it's gonna go in.
It definitely is here, and there's the knockback aside, and that's going to be JSS now outnumbered, outgunned, as Gunner is removed from the map. That's a nice core flip from Geek, gets deflected away by Best Jelly, and JSS now trying to dash forward, but doesn't have the cooldowns, it looks like, and now still playing this up, playing it aggressively. Gunner is ready at midfield to knock it forward, and a great bit of damage there on a Mark. He nearly gets taken out by the barrage, but will manage to stay alive, and now it's JSS who is taken off, and Mark looking to knock it in. Alpha Kiwi goes for the piercing shot, couldn't quite find it. Best Jelly up at midfield, ready to support with whatever projectiles they can send out, but it does get knocked back by a nice pendulum swing from Gunner, and now it's up to JSS to try to brawl this one out once again. A nice blow up from the middle, and both teams going back and forth at midfield here. Mark ready to play up and aggressive, gets it knocked back over to him by the barrage, but can't smack it in. And again, we've got a really close back and forth one here for us, Deathgrass.
Yeah, and JSS really wishing he had any sort of speed right now, including the Stagger Swagger, because he, oh my god, his Mark with the pendulum swing stuffs two people and the goalie into the net and picks up a set win for his team there. Wow, that was, I mean, that was something. I'm losing my words here because of how ridiculous that was. Playing a little too far back in the net there.
A huge play made by the Rasmus there, and now we're tied up at 1-1, Deathgrass. This is going to be a much closer match than we had to start on off our tenure here. Tempo swing going to get picked up by the Kai there in response to the Deadeye from the other Kai. An Adrenaline Rush on the board will go over to Julie and Rasmus. That's a double Adrenaline Rush here for the blue side. ASOP's little PogChamps, they want those KOs.
Yeah, you really want to be very careful of your stagger if you are on the other side of, you know, double Adrenaline now. Because if they pick up one of those and you're playing the Kai goalie, it's so over. And here's the first one of the match, as look at him go with that Stagger Swagger and Adrenaline Rush speed.
JSS moving like a man possessed here, as that's going to be goal barriers open for both sides, and going to lose some of his buffs as Alpha Kiwi comes back out of the map, but showing some of that power that this setup can bring to the table for the two of them. Barriers going to be still standing for both sides. Mark feeling strong after that double KO he got at the end of the last round, and with a little bit of a level lead as well. Definitely deserved here. Going to be Best Jelly knocking it back and forth with JSS, who goes in, going to knock it off of the barrier, going to go for the core flip, looking in for the goal here, passes it down to Gunner, and that's going to be another one secured for ASOP's Little Pog Champs.
Yeah, and I would like to see JSS just pop the center a bit more. I mean, Gunner has the magnetized souls, and popping that center is going to get him, you know, a little more down on HP and open up some more of those passing angles for his team.
Oh, nice knock back there by Geek, who's still got his work cut out for him here with Alpha Kibi continuing to rein in these Rose Thorns, or Crystal Thorns rather, and makes it really tough to defend, but has done so pretty well so far. There's going to be the death touch coming back over to Gunner, but get it knocked back away by Mark as they open it up. They go for the core flip, looking for the score. Does get defended successfully by Gunner, but the aggression is still here. Mark not willing to let this one go. Best Jelly coming out of the goal box to come and try to make something happen, but it is going to get stuck out in the middle. There's the core flip by Gunner, knocks it back over to the other side just to clear it, just to buy some breathing room for JSS and co. ASOP's Little Pog Champs now going back on the aggressive, looking to knock open this goal. JSS coming in from the top side does manage to do so, goes back over to Geek, who's got to clear it back to his teammates, but they have a chance to score now. There's the death touch. Mark going to go for the pendulum swing. Gunner, though, finds the KO off the whiplash. Alpha Kibi going in for the piercing shot, but not going to be able to find the goal, and now pass back and forth. If JSS and Gunner can get their setup, they could close out the goal. And now over down to JSS. Gunner passes it back up. The respawn has come through. Is it going to be enough time? Core flip does get the KO and is going to get a second one, but the goal still avoided. Now finally, Geek will be the one who gets it in.
Yeah, and double adrenaline rush. You get that first kill. You are becoming Car. You're getting your cooldowns back, and you're sending more people into the net. They sent 2 people in there, and I mean, if you're Alpha Kibi, you're the last person alive on your team. You're Cell. You burn through all your cooldowns. You got nothing there to stop that one.
For sure, for sure. JSS and Gunner now letting it get away from them a little bit here. That's the goal opened up onto Geek. OTKU Hideout not willing to go quietly in this set, down 0-2, but still feel like they can pull themselves back in. JSS and Gunner going to come back over on the other side. They're looking to open up the goal for themselves, and they will manage to do so. Very quick goals open from both teams, but JSS knocks it in with the Phoenix Fire, and that's a 3-0 set for ASOP's Little Pog Champs.
Yeah, and when they do pop that center, they have so much more passing between JSS and Gunner. Gunner able to control more of that midfield. And really, Estelle doesn't have too much, but these are some kind of interesting awakenings here, as it does look like they are going to take the heavy impact, which means this Jewel is going to have a lot more kill power as the Kai takes Hot Shot. Honestly, in this situation, if I'm Best Jelly, I would kind of want to take Rapid Fire over the Hot Shot, only due to the fact that Best Jelly really isn't going to be able to hit hit the core as much as he's hitting people, just because of the fact that JSS has the big fish and he's going to be standing right in front of his face.
For sure. Going to be a couple of big folks thanks to the big fish, and wow, the damage out of Mark to start things off is just nuts here. JSS and Gunner both get narked pretty low there. Alpha Kibi going to be in the same boat. JSS has that stagger swagger, going to be moving so quickly thanks to this, and going to be looking for an angle to get a KO to activate that adrenaline rush that they have been building for. They do manage to find it, and now going to step forward. Alpha Kibi off the map. That's going to be JSS getting that one score. Knock back over. Geek here for the support. They do manage to open it up. Now they're slamming everything into Mark, who is going to have to go elusive just to stay alive. And now going to get knocked aside. The barrage actually closes it out, and that's another goal for ASOP's Little Pog Champs.
Yeah, what's really funny is that with Adrenaline Rush, when you do pop it, you actually get the most value out of it with playing MOBA controls, because of the fact that you're able to walk as fast as possible to your destination. So getting that quintillion amount of speed, it adds up so fast.
For sure. And now another KO earned onto JSS, but Gunner sneaks it past him. Too late on the core flip from Best Jelly. ASOP's Little Pog Champs makes him look foolish.
Yeah, and I honestly thought Best Jelly had that, but wasn't able to react fast enough, and that core just slips right past him through the core flip.
Yeah, goes to show sometimes it's worth it to go for those low percentage plays. You know, they work out once in a blue moon. And JSS now going to get another KO. That mix up from Gunner now keeping OTKU Hideout on the back foot. And JSS ready to step forward, ready to go in with the Phoenix Fire. Does manage to open up the goal. Another third quick one here to close out the game. Would be so much momentum for ASOPs, and they get it.
Yeah, and that double adrenaline rush, really the tipping point of that match there, especially since the fact that Julia then got heavy impact with the big fish already. I mean, you play near the edge and you're just getting sent off of it. No question about it. Great first match from the side of ASOP's Little PogChamps. As I'm sure the KOs here, with JSS getting 7, Gunner getting 4, Geek getting 4, I mean, it's an effort by the whole team just to help proc those adrenaline rushes once they got it.
Yeah, definitely here. I mean, the damage actually ends up being pretty good here for the side of OTKU Hideout. I mean, they were able to match them in the damage department, but they weren't quite able to get them finished off here. And a lot of that, I think, just comes down to having the Juliet, right? She's just got such powerful knockbacks, such powerful kill opportunities, and you just can't match that with something like an Estelle.
Yeah, and the Julie really doesn't care about your stagger bar. If you're playing near the edge, she's going to dash punch you off of it. Doesn't matter whether or not you're cracked, you're, half HP, or if you're full HP, you're just going to get sent off. And another thing to note, that Estelle, the problem with Estelle right now, and what I feel like is kind of her biggest issue, is she has really long base cooldowns. She has some of the highest base cooldowns in the game compared to these other characters that can kind of throw out abilities willy-nilly. She really needs some awakenings to kind of scale into the game and really push herself more into, being able to contest sort of that midfield, getting those barriers and whatnot.
For sure. And now going to be that 1-0 lead for the side of ASOP's Little PogChamps. They have broken the tie for the time being. We'll have to see now if the response can come on across here for them to actually be able to stay tied at the end of the day. It is a best of 2, so technically we aren't guaranteed to break the tie for second place here. OTKU Hideout could win this second one and keep them tied up. Also worth pointing out, Best Western is all wrapped up in this large second place tie as well, so their results today also going to have a huge influence.
Yeah, and so if they do tie, it would put both of them back at a tie for second. However, it would bump down, obviously, Goat Esports, because they have already played their match today. But Best would have a chance to bump up and actually match that. So we could, at the end of the day, wind up with 3 teams tied for second place again, which would be incredibly crazy to think about.
Yeah, it really would be. And I mean, a huge performance out of Best Western could also secure them sole possession of second, but there's a whole lot of possibilities still open, right? I mean, there's still between 2 and 3 more matches to be played, depending on where you're at in the current day, and plenty of still left to play for both sides.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a bit ridiculous as we're back on the night market. Map we haven't seen in a, we skipped a game of it, but we're back, and we're back with Big Fish and Castellast. So I'd have to imagine, if you're not playing Era, you're gonna want to ban it, right? Like,
yeah,
you see the Castellast, you see the Big Fish, you're thinking about it, and you're going, it needs to be gone. Obviously, there it is, right? You're not gonna play it, you ban it in this very specific situation. So now that leaves us with some interesting picks. I wonder if we're going to see a rune. I wonder if Gunner's going to bring out the rune. It is Castellast. So, if you were ever to play rune, it's kind of like your time, right? Like, it's night market. It's a good rune map.
Yeah, I mean, the last time they were on night market, I believe it was a rune pick for Gunner. So that is a composition they've been playing on this map before. They did pair it up with an X that last time. This time around, they ban it. But, the Juliet can fill in there just fine. I would not be surprised to see this locked in.
Yeah, and there's the rune. I mean, obviously, so in terms of the X ban, it's kind of like the Mark pick that I've seen him do a lot of work on recently. So maybe you don't want to give him something like that, especially since you have JSS, who is a very good Juliet. So you want to bring him more to an even playing field that you feel comfortable on.
Yep, Juliet versus Juliet matchup. Gonna be what they're going for here. So Mark switching things up, going in for that Julie in this next game, and Gunnar going to be on that rune. So we'll pay attention to what he's going to be able to get done. He's going to be able to make some nice shifty plays, get anything done with the banish and the unstable anomalies in this game number 2. Again, a 2-0 win here for ASOP's little Pog champs would be huge, would get them that head-to-head lead over the other side here, and would net them closer up to sole possession of second place, rather than having to compete with OTKU Hideout, as that's another KO earned for JSS and Co. They are going to open up the goal and are looking to start off aggressively. A knockdown there from Gunnar, passed back up off the unstable anomaly, and that's an easy goal. Nicely played by Gunnar.
Yeah, and that rune banish is so... Look, so the rune banish, when you banish somebody, you can place a pillar under them, and then place your second pillar with the TP above them, and then that second pillar will overwrite the knockback but also give the damage. So if you get hit by it, it's pretty much a guaranteed kill unless your teammate stops it. It is a bit ridiculous.
Wow, and a KO already here again. And that's going to be 2 unstable anomalies thrown down on top of Mark, making it very difficult for him once he comes out of that banish, taking a boatload of damage. Tofu Fortress thrown down by Geek, ready to play up at midfield, trying to be super aggressive on this Dubu. And Gunnar shifting back and forth, ready to threaten with the unstable anomalies. That's going to leave behind JSS and Mark, brawling back and forth. A little bit of damage added in by Geek as well. Core flip comes through from Gunnar, and he just lets it sit there. And that's going to actually end up with them not being able to finish anything off, trying to still open up this goal. JSS gets the KO on the other side, and now there's the number advantage here for ASOP's little Pog champs. Alpha Kiwi taking quite a bit of harassment as well from this rune. He can just bully you from so far away with that banish, and it's making a big difference.
Yeah, and something important to note as well, Geek taking the Castellast on this Dubu. Dubu, one of the best characters in the game, really, if not the best at dealing with Amy Firewall Sentry, as you're able to throw the ult out. And taking that Castellast actually gives a creation duration increase. Not a lot, but it is there. So, definitely something that is going to help win them this match.
For sure, and Gunnar just knocking it back and forth between the wall and himself here, buying time, waiting for that perfect angle to present itself. You see, very well practiced on this rune. Is going to get shattered here for a little bit, but JSS is going to be up there to fulfill his role and gets the KO while he's at it. A banish there onto Mark means that it was Best Jelly all alone there for a little bit, and really tough to play defense that time. But Mark finds a KO onto the rune for himself. Gunnar now going to be off the map. It's a 2-on-2 as Alpha Kiwi respawns and nets the numbers advantage back over to OTKU Hideout.
Yeah, and this is the one kind of downside of playing Rune on this map. It's really kind of difficult to be able to get your team the ball and be able to get these barriers, especially against someone like Kai, because he has so much control on the map, and it's so difficult just to get it past him with all the cooldowns that he has.
Great block with the Flame Flurry there from JSS, and Mark not actually going to be able to land his. Now going to get banished away once again, finding that opening. JSS wants to score, doesn't land the strike, but Gunnar is there for the backup. There's the core flip from Geek. They want to score right here, right now, but Gunnar going to have to blink back. Not quite going to be able to find their opening. Best Jelly there, ready to pass it down to his teammates, ready to get it back over into Geek's face, but Geek is taking so much control and opens up for JSS to get another score.
Yeah, finally got it through to JSS. JSS going to use that Fiery Fist just to punch that one through past Best Jelly. Best Jelly either not having a strike or not able to react to that one. And they get another point for their team.
Definitely here, there, and JSS gets another KO right off the start. Continuing to find the angles on this night market map, continuing to just bully people at the edges. The double banish, that's an easy goal and an easy set for ASOP's little Pog champs.
Yeah, with that Castellas, you're not coming out of that anytime soon. You're stuck in there no matter what, and all you can do is look on and sigh as you see that ball just slowly drifting past you. And I wonder here if Gunnar's going to try and go for either the Stagger Swagger or Specialized Training. Now, realistically, he takes the Stagger Swagger, but for the funny, I would go the Specialized Training because, you know, you throw the ult on somebody, you watch as all their HP goes away. And if you get something like extra special, maybe later on, it's kind of gone. But there's a missile propulsion coming out from this Dubu. So missile propulsion Dubu able to give him a little more range on that ultimate, and he's going to be able to throw it from farther back on the map, as we call it, the B swarm, and really is able to put so much more pressure.
Yeah, Mark with the glass cannon there as well. So gonna be interesting to check out how long he can avoid getting hit playing that little mini game throughout this next upcoming round and throughout the rest of the game, really. Gunner going to get knocked off the side. Marco finds his opportunity, utilizes that extra power and speed he's got for himself, and is actually keeping it up for very long. Gets a nice little KO, and now gets a chance to maybe open things up here. Geek with the good defense, though, utilizing his big body to keep things cleared away, and will actually kind of sustain through the whole thing, but that's going to be another KO earned onto JSS, and Mark now with an opportunity to open things up, does get one of those barriers, and is looking for the second, but Geek doing all that he can to play that Dubu effectively.
Yeah, as this one does get that top barrier, but really that specialized training is what it was able to give Best Jelly that kill. You know, that little extra knockback increase that you do get on that Giga Blast really was a big proprietor of why JSS got sent right off the map there.
You gotta play the respects to that Giga Blast. You gotta pay respects to Mark, who finds himself another KO onto JSS, winning this one-on-one, and Alpha Kiwi finds themselves a goal. That's the first one of the game for OTKU Hideout.
Yeah, and ASOP's little Power Champs sitting in this match were super strong on this first set, but now it seems like the tides may be turning as OTKU, sorry, it was OTKU Hideout, right? Yeah, OTKU Hideout kind of pushing forward here in this match with Mark now with this glass cannon. And who knows, maybe they'll be able to keep it up and give themselves a first pick on this next carousel.
Yeah, I mean, getting a lot of pressure here onto JSS, who's been knocked around, bullied in that first game, that first round. Now, continuing to have it happen to him in the second one, hasn't been taken off yet, but still taking a lot of harassment. And Alpha Kiwi willing to use that Cyber Surge to just keep moving forward. Cyber Swipe, trying to get it in there. JSS looking for KOs on a Best Jelly, can't quite find him. Geek still on the defense, not finding opportunities to get out of the box and really close things out. Does pass it down to Gunner, who's trying to find banishes, trying to find unstable anomalies, but again, not really being able to take control of the core. And as I say that, they do get it onto the other side, and JSS now with the Tofu Fortress behind them, ready to brawl it out and try to force things in. The banish comes through onto the core. Mark going to be waiting on the other side. Gunner going to blink away and pass it back up to JSS, but Geek just still has to play defense, and Best Jelly just sitting there, sitting pretty, waiting for an opportunity.
Yeah, and the one problem again is JSS doing a nice little dash punch as that core was going up and down like crazy. But this is the one problem with the rune. It is so hard to get it past multiple people, and then when you get it up, you have nothing really to support JSS outside of banishing people and hopefully knocking them off the map.
Definitely here is Geek knocking things back over, clears it to the right side of the map. JSS ready to receive. Gunner now getting outpaced by the speed of the Imi, and another KO for Mark, going to net the numbers advantage over to the side of OTKU. They want to get this score. They want to keep themselves on the front foot that they had in this set, and they get it. Mark just smacks it in the one-on-one.
Yeah, and if you're ASOP's little PogChamps right now, you really need to start playing your life and taking, Mark a bit more seriously on these edges. You can't let yourself get caught out like that, because then they have the advantage and they have the ability to take your barriers super easily with that Firewall Sentry.
Yeah, it definitely does feel like they're really underestimating the power of this Julie here. Now going to go evasive, trying to defend against JSS's Juliet at the same time. Nice use of the unstable anomaly there as JSS looking for a KO on a Mark. Can't quite find it. Gunner taking a fair bit of abuse, though, as the Cyber Pop comes in across the center and knocks him further down. Blinking back away, trying to play as deftly as he can, but Geek going to let one of the barriers go down here. And again, just this constant aggression. Mark playing up in their face and unable to get pushed away by JSS or anybody else, and has so much power and speed building up from that glass cannon. And it really feels like he's been getting a lot of use out of that. Best Jelly now clears it back away over towards Geek, who is going to now have to face off against the Cyber Pop, and Alpha Kiwi closes out set number 2.
Yeah, and Gunner accidentally putting a pillar right in front of Geek's clear, allowing that bottom barrier to go away because of that mistake. And now Mark in the prime position to take Adrenaline Rush, and you're looking at a kind of a unfortunate situation here as the Dubu is going to be forced to take this extra special here, denied the Monumentalist, and now the Kai most likely going to take, probably I would have to assume the Orb Dancer. You don't really want to give it to this Rune, as Rune's going to take heavy impact.
Yeah.
Well,
an
I don't
interesting
really...
selection.
An interesting selection as Tempo Swing was taken off the board. Guys, we have Dancer on the board. I'm shocked that nobody took it. I would have to imagine that either maybe Kai would want it, or maybe Gunner, because Gunner is kind of limited by mobility. But you know what? I'll let them cook as we get into this next set here.
Yeah, looking perhaps to just try to get some more KOs on the board for their side, as they are going to be able to open up one of these. JSS going to open up the whole goal, and now looking to turn the momentum back around. I mean, cannot be happy having dropped that set there after how dominant they were in set number 1. Gunner passing it back up to JSS, who's just looking for the chance to use that Flying Phoenix to knock it into the goal. So far, clearing it pretty nicely, and just finds himself a little angle there. Best Jelly can't quite turn it back around.
Yeah, and Dancer in a match that's been pretty much all about whoever has the more speed is pretty important. But you know what? It might not matter, as JSS and Gunner are able to get a lot more pressure here as JSS gets yet another kill.
Yeah, nice knockout there by JSS, and now this is looking more like the ASOP's Little Pog champs that we saw in the first round, constantly playing with a numbers advantage and constantly being able to open up these goals incredibly early. Pass down to JSS. They do open up the goal here. Alpha Kibi clears it back out with a glitch pop, though, and that's going to be open goals for both sides. Gunner moving down. Tofu Fortress to get themselves a bit of time to play with. Best Jelly takes a fair bit of damage from JSS, but not quite going to be able to close it out. Clear back away. There's the Cyber Swipe, trying to knock it in for Alpha Kibi. Gunner now going to receive it on the bottom, passes it up to JSS. Clear away by Best Jelly, but now facing down 2 members, but they don't quite get it on Gunner's side. It will slip away from him, and now here's a chance to clap back here from the side of OTKU Hideout. Tofu Fortress going to buy them a bit of time, and it's also going to buy them a goal, though. OTKU Hideout gets the score back.
Yeah, Geek, unfortunately, there. Getting Tofu Fortress as that one, just the mystical bounces of the pinball machine, unfortunately, didn't work in his favor there, as it did hit that corner and went right back into his net.
For sure, JSS now taking control over the core. 1-1 in this set. A very close game number 2 so far. But we did see a set taken in game number 1 by OTKU Hideout as well. From there on out, it was ASOP's Little Pog champs taking control, but now the goal's been opened up again already, passed down, and that's a great goal for Mark. Nicely played by OTKU Hideout.
Yeah, and that one went straight through the center, right to Mark. Mark able to, dash punch that one right in. Nothing really Geek can do. Pray he has other cooldowns up, but even then, it's incredibly hard to react to, especially considering how fast that went, getting the speed boost through the center as well.
Definitely a little reaction speed test there. Mark nearly finding another KO there onto Gunner. JSS going to open up that top barrier. Geek just trying to keep it on the top side. Gunner getting bullied here by Alpha Kibi, getting chased down by that Aimi. And now it will get opened up, and JSS goes in for the flip and just gets a quick goal. 2-2 set point.
Yeah, JSS getting that one past the Giga Blast, past the strike shot, just sneaking it right in through there. And this next goal, really big determiner of who might swing the match in their favor, as we are almost halfway through.
Yeah, I mean, gonna be game point as far as sets goes. Going to be that 2-1 lead. Definitely want to have that space to play with. Definitely going to want to get that chance to close things out. But JSS taken off the map here once again. It's going to be Gunner now just trying to defend alongside Geek, trying to buy some space. So OTKU Hideout are keeping the pressure on. They want to get themselves the lead for the first time in this entire match. JSS says no. JSS knocks it down and is going to get himself a KO while he's at it. Opened up one of the barriers already. Mark playing up and aggressive, but he's got a Dubu right in front of him. No chance of KOing that guy from full while he's this far out. Is just going to go for the core flip. Tries to pass it back up to JSS. It will be able to slip past Mark, and Alpha Kibi can't do anything about it. That's going to be the elusive used by JSS to prevent himself from getting KO'd, but the Tofu Fortress keeping the core perhaps where they might not have wanted it. Now Mark still trying to push it in, trying to keep Geek on the back foot, but it's been kept up in this upper right corner for forever.
Yeah, and it's funny, every time Mark grabs this middle speed with the glass cannon up, it does look like he is getting a little bit of a mini adrenaline rush, matching the speed of JSS when he would kill people.
Yeah, I mean, it's getting him so many stats as he's just managed to avoid getting hit for quite a bit of time, and actually does manage to shatter Geek over on the other side. Tofu Fortress just trying to clear this core back out, but Geek at risk of going down has to kind of play defensively as Mark is chasing him back and forth. Rollout doesn't land, and it's going to be just up towards the side here, clear back away. And there's going to be the Fire Flurry, and there's going to be Mark taking out the goalie. Gunner now going to have to play defense, banishes away to buy some time, and just throws down the Unstable Anomaly to clear it back over for JSS.
Yeah, Gunner, unfortunately, no cooldowns there to really kill Mark, as he did have him in prime position. No one there to stop those unstable anomalies, but just wasn't able to get it off.
Yeah, down to Geek, and going to pass it back over to the other side. Geek knocks it back to JSS, down to the bottom. Gunner ready to catch, but Mark nearly smacking it in there with the Flying Phoenix. It's Alpha Kibi retreating back over to their side, knocking it down. JSS wants to try to open up the goal here. Will get taken down, or will get a takedown, rather, as JSS is just going to score it and going to take us to 2-1.
Yeah, nothing really that Specially can do there. Unfortunately, he had no cooldowns, as he did use that barrage before, didn't have the Giga Blast, and just had to maybe prey on a strike. As we do get some crazy trainings out here, we do have Stinger, Orb Pondering, Prime Time, and Twin Drive, and Timeless Creator. Man, this is like heaven for everyone in the game here, as the Amy is going to pick up the Twin Drive, which is interesting to me. I would imagine maybe you would want the Timeless Creator, but they might value the Blinks a little more, as the Ponder is picked up by the Dubu, the Timeless Creator picked up by the Rune. Now, what's interesting with this Timeless Creator on the Rune now is the Rune is able to put up his pillars maybe a little more predictively, and they're able to stay out there a little longer. Unfortunately, from what I remember, they take a little bit longer to form to full size, compared to just having no Timeless Creator. So,
yeah,
could be a bit of a debuff there.
Yeah, they got advantages and disadvantages for sure. Did land a nice double banish there, but they didn't get any opportunities to really do anything off of it. But a nice pass up to JSS going to open up one of those goal barriers. And yeah, you can see that Unstable Anomaly lasting so long, getting fully utilized by JSS as he's just looking to take this down. 1 versus 3, pass back up from Gunner, who is trying to just sneak it up into JSS's hands. He gets it and he finds the goal.
Yeah, Best Jelly, unfortunately, they're not able to get that one out of the hands of JSS. JSS shoves that one into the top corner with a nice pass from Gunner, and you can see Gunner using those unstable anomalies really predictively, kind of using them more as field control now, rather than to just hit the core.
Now going to be Geek, just getting knocked aside here a little bit. The banish does come on through, and that is going to be the pass up to JSS. Gunner going to knock in one more to open up the goal barrier, and going to still just try to play on the front foot while they are able to do so. Alpha Kibi respawning just in time, but Gunner still looking to play up, still looking to take control over this core, but Mark bullying on a Geek who now realizes he has to respect this Juliet just a little bit more.
Yeah, now JSS is just doing such a great job at keeping forward pressure here with these Rune Pillars behind him. And as you can see, oh my god, he almost puts that one in as Best Jelly hits that off the Rune Pillar multiple times. No other place he can clear to because JSS is just standing there. Yeah,
the Anomaly getting so much work done. Well done to try to utilize that pillar. It's knocking the core back so fast. And another long-distance goal from JSS off a core flip.
Yeah, and JSS, once again, just doing a great job, doing what he really needs to, getting kills, putting the puck in the net. I mean, what more do you want from him?
Yeah, for sure here. I mean, getting so much done here, taking control back after what was a very close third set. Now in this fourth set, 1 goal away from being able to just claim themselves a 2-0 victory on the day and take that sole possession of second place. JSS opens up both goals, wanting to take it right here. The core flip comes through, and Gunner just throws it in off the banish. That's all she wrote. ASOP's little pog champs, 2-0.
Yeah, great job from them, especially after getting up that timeless. Might have, honestly, I thought it was an okay pickup, but it turns out really helped them win that game, as they were able to put so much forward pressure off the fact that they could use the timeless unstable anomaly to keep it there for forever, and then work through with the Juliet just standing there, and really Best Jelly had nowhere to clear it to. I mean, look at the redirects from Gunner, 187, more than any member on his team. He was controlling the core, doing so much, and JSS able to pick up the kills and the damage for his team as needed.
For sure here. What a massive set there. What a massive pair of games for ASOP's little Pog Champs. We talked about this was, thought to be a close match coming into it, at least based on the standings and based on what we thought of these two teams. But ASOP's little Pog Champs, they look dominant there, right? There were a couple of individual sets where they were able to come alive on the side of Otaku Hideout and get some goals or get some sets, but it was all ASOP's little Pog Champs for the majority of the time. Multiple 3-0 sweeps in there. Just huge plays all around.
Yeah, and it really was a great game to watch. Definitely one of my favorites, more favorites that I've seen, especially with that rune. I like the rune pick. I think rune's fun on Night Market. So really honestly, what I would have to say was definitely one of the more enjoyable matches that I've seen so far in NASL, and have had the privilege of casting.
Yeah, I know. Definitely here too. I mean, it was a bunch of fun here. I loved what we got to see out of JSS Geek and Gunner, and I think this is a team that you've really got to be keeping your eyes on now as we start to get in towards the playoffs. It's been a really great couple of runs here. I've gotten to cast ASOP's Little Pog Champs a couple of times, and they have done such a fantastic job every time I've gotten to see them. Only seen wins from them so far. I'm sure they have dropped some sets here and there. But it will be really cool to see what they're going to be able to get done as we start to get into the last week, as we start to get into the playoffs.
Yeah, and you know what? I've had a great time sitting here talking with you, Gordo. Glad to have come on. And anything else you want to kind of throw for the stream?
No, I think we're good there. I mean, always fun to hop on. Great first cast with you, Daftgrass, so was a bunch of fun hanging out here, casting a couple of games. Went pretty fast, I'm going to say, but we do still have at least 2 more matches coming through for the rest of the day. Might show a couple off-stream matches as well. We'll see what comes up next. And we're going to throw it on to Brickbot, K-Bot and Borg. And then, first to break, then to K-Bot and Borg. And we'll be back with more Omega Strikers soon.